it's Jen. I'm coming at you guys with my coral deck list. She's been doing a lot of tops recently, and I just picked up the deck, so I thought I'd give you guys my deck list. So to start off with, we're running 4 of the new Aurora Star Coral. She is what made the deck good again. She's so good. Okay, so she's got 2 skills. One is a continuous Vanguard or Rearguard. If the number of cards in your soul with coral and their card names is 4 or more, she gets 2k. So she's a pseudo cross ride. And then she has an on ride or on stride. You may pay the cost, which is shove a card from hand to soul. If you do, you draw 2. And then until end of turn, she gets a continuous Vanguard circle. All of the units in your front row get plus 5k for every 2 cards in your soul with coral. Now, this deck's main mechanic is shoving corals to soul, so you will get big beaters, and it's a continuous, so as you're bouncing and recalling, they will also get that power. So she's really good. We are also running 3 copies of Shangri-La Coral. She is the original cross ride. I'm, at this point, mostly running her just for the coral name, as well as the fact that she is Lord, because New Otama is a thing, and if you call her, she can't attack, of course. So she has 3 skills. She has Act, Limit Break 4, Counterblast Soul Blast. You can choose one of your Bermuda Rearguards, bounce it to hand, and she gets 3k until end of turn. And then you may choose up to 1 card with coral and its card name from your hand, put it to soul. If you do, draw 2. So, and then you can't use that ability for the rest of the turn. So it's a once per turn skill, and it's actually pretty good, but the fact that it's a limit break means you're probably not going to use it. But she is also something you can fall back on, like if you do go into Megiddo and you lose, or you lose your G-Zone, she's still something you can fall back on. And then her second skill is the continuous Vanguard circle. If you have an Aurora Star Coral in your soul, she gets the plus 2k, so 13k base. So, and then she of course has continuous Vanguard Rearguard circle Lord, which is really good in the new Batama matchup. I might eventually take a couple more of her out for our girl Ange. So Delight Genius Ange. I'm running 1 copy for now, but like I said, I might take out some Shangri-La Corals for her in the future. I'm not sure yet. So her skill, she has 2 skills. Her first skill is an auto on place or when you stride. You can soul blast 1. If you do, choose up to 2 cards in any player's circles other than Vanguard circle and bounce them to their respective owner's hand. If you I just lost it. If 1 or more of your opponent's cards was bounced, you can draw a card, and then if at least one of your cards was bounced, you can search your deck for a card with a GB2 ability. If you do, you reveal it and put it to hand. So she can search for a copy of herself, which she can't currently do because I only have 1. But she can search for the crit, the 0 power crit, to put it to hand, stuff like that. And then she has a continuous GB2 when your card, when you would discard cards for the cost of stride, you can call them to Rearguard instead. So she's really good, especially like in the Link Joker matchup. That's what Ange was basically made for. So yeah, she's just overall a really solid card. For grade 2s, we're running the Ride Chain, of course. So we're running 4 Shiny Star Corals. This is a grade 2 of the Ride Chain, like I said. So she has if you have the grade 1 in Soul, she gets the plus 1k, making her a 10k base. And then she also has an auto when her attack hits, it's an auto Vanguard circle, when her attack hits, you can choose up to one of your Bermuda Triangle in the front row and bounce it to hand. And then if you have the grade 1 in Soul, you can bounce another thing from the back row to hand. So she applies some on-hit pressure early in the game, as well as you can call a bit from your hand and potentially bounce it. So she's a pretty solid grade 2 for a ride chain. So yeah, she's really good. Plus she is a coral, which you do need to be shoving into Soul. We are also running 3 light blue heartbeat Myrtua. She's really good in my opinion, because if you by chance have to like misride for your ride chain, she's probably the best backup to go into. She has 2 skills. So she has an auto on place, so either Vanguard or Rearguard Circle. You can choose a card with coral in its card name from hand or on Rearguard and put it to Soul, and if you do, you draw a card. And then she also has an act in Soul. You can Soul Blast yourself to draw a card. So if you happen to misride, you can shove a coral to Soul, which will help you later in the game and get you a draw. And then because you misrode, she'll be in the Soul, so you can then just Soul Blast her later in the game and get another card to hand. So she's really good. And then lastly, we're running 4 copies of Admired Spellgirl Spica. She's the Amber clone. She's still a really important card to the clan, even to this day. So her skill is auto GB1. When she attacks and is boosted, you can counterblast 1, normal Amber clone cost. Choose one of your rear guards, bounce it to hand, and then you may call something from hand to rearguard circle, and then if you called, it gets plus 3k. So since, like I said, coral power skill is a continuous, you can just keep bouncing and calling with Spica, and it'll still retain the power, so she can get off some really big multi-attack. I've seen a lot of decks that run a couple copies of Charlotte, which is the pre-GB on-hit counterblast 1 bounce and call. I'm considering running that, but for now I'm going to stick to what I have because I've play-tested quite a lot and it works really well. So for grade 1s, we're running 4 of the new Perfect Guard, Transcend Idol Aqua. She's probably the best Perfect Guard you could be running in Coral because she has, as most people probably know, she has the 2 skills. So the Sentinel skill, but if all of her are your Sentinel, you can run 6. Really don't have the room for 6, so I'm just running the normal 4. And then her cost 2 Perfect Guard is not discard, it's shove it to Soul. So you can shove a coral to Soul, which will add up the amount of corals you have in Soul to then give you a lot of power when you stride or ride. And then she has the other skill, which is if the number of Sentinels in your drop zone is 2 or more, all of your units are protected by her. You're probably not going to use that much. She's mainly in there because she doesn't discard, she adds to Soul. So she's really nice. And then, like I said, we're running the ride chain. So Fresh Star Coral, this is the grade 1. So she's got the normal ride chain skill. If you have the 0 in Soul, she gets plus 1k, making her an 8k base. And then she has an auto. When you miss ride on her, you can check the top 7 for the grade 2 and then write it and shuffle your deck. So honestly, there have been times where I've purposely misrode Myrtua to then shove a coral to Soul and draw a card, and then use Fresh Star Corals to search out the right grade 2 to then write, and then she'll be in Soul for you to then Soul Blast and draw a card. So it's a pretty jank combo, I guess you could say, but it's actually surprisingly consistent. So yeah, Plus she's a coral, so you can add her to Soul and search her out with our next grade 1, which is Admire Successor Lyrica. So she's really, really good too, because if you're going to misride your grade 1, you probably want to misride her, because she has 2 skills. So when she's placed on Vanguard or Rearguard Circle, you can reveal 5 cards from the top of your deck and put a grade 2 or greater card with Coral into your hand, or and then if you added it to hand, you choose a card from hand and put it to Soul. And then she has another skill, which is an act, which activates in Soul. So like I said, if you misride, she'd be in your Soul later in the game to then use that skill, which is choose a grade 2 or greater card from your hand and put it to Soul. If you have a grade 3 or greater Vanguard with Coral in its card name, you can activate the ability and pay the cost and call her, well, she'd bounce to hand, then call herself and give something 2k. So she's really nice, because then, since she calls herself, you can then use her on-play skill. So she's a really, really good card, because she shoves Corals to Soul, which you need, as well as isn't a bad ride target if you happen to misride. Then, because this is a stride deck, we're running 2 stride fodders. I'm running 8 grade 3s, so I really haven't found a need for more. Plus, I don't really have room, so the 2 is just fine. You wouldn't use the first skill because we don't run Loris. It'd just be used for the stride fodder skill. For zeros, our starter is the Ride Chain starter, so Angelic Star Coral. So she has 2 skills, though. When you ride the correct grade 1, which is Fresh Star Coral, you can look at the top 7 cards of your deck, search for the grade 2 or 3, reveal it to the opponent, and add it to hand and shuffle your deck. So she can get pieces of your ride chain if you're missing them, or if you just need like a stride fodder or more corals to shove to Soul, she can do that for you. And then she has another skill. When you misride the grade 1, she calls herself to a Rearguard Circle. So she's a forerunner if you misride. So she's really good, plus she's a coral. For triggers, we are running 4 of the new Coral Crit, Little Pride Hanukkah. She is amazing. I love her so much. So her skill is Act. In hand or Soul, you can either discard her or Soul Blast her. If you do, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, search for a coral, and then you can put it to hand or Soul, and then shuffle your deck. So she's just really, really good. She deck thins your corals and can either get you a stride fodder, or like early in the game, if you don't have the ride chain, she can fix that, or if you just need more corals and Soul. Plus crits are nice, so she's just really good overall. And then we are also running for Chocho Roberta, the Supersonic Sailor clone. So it's just the Act, put it to Soul, countercharge 1. This deck actually does not go through your resources very much, but she's still nice to have, and just on the off chance that you do need it. So, plus I'm running 16 crit, so crit with skill, or not 16 crit, 12 crit, so crit with skill is nice. As I just said, 12 crit, so we're running Popping Melody Layla. She is the 0 power crit, which is honestly really, really nice in the new Batama matchup, because they have to work to make her hit. So she has an auto GB2, which makes her searchable with Ange. Counterblast 1, bounce her to hand. When she boosts, you can pay the cost. If you do until the end of the battle, you can double the power of the boosted unit's power. And then if it has a GB2, that unit gets a crit. We don't have a lot of units that have GB2, so usually you're not going to get the crit. It's mainly there to just double the power, since Coral gets giant numbers. So she's really, really nice. And then for heals, we're running the countercharge soul charge heal because heal with effect is nice. Plus she's really pretty. So her skill is the generic, when you G-guard, you can bind her and another heal from your drop face up to countercharge or soul charge. A lot of times you'll just end up soul charging because the deck wants corals and soul, and like I said, you really don't have a resource issue, so you really don't have a counterblast to countercharge. Alright, so that's the main deck. On to the stride deck. We are running 3 Arcadia Star Corals. She's your first stride. She's really, really good and can help set up things. So she's got the stride skill, and then an act once per turn. Flip a coral face up, and then if you have a heart card with coral, which generally you will, unless you happen to go into Ange, you can pay the cost. If you do, bounce a rear card and search your deck for a copy of a card, put it to soul. So you can search for a Myrtua, you can search for a Hanukkah, another coral, just anything you want, put it to soul. And then choose up to the same number of rear cards as corals and soul. They get 2k, and then she gets 10k, and you shuffle your deck. So you already have giant numbers, and she just makes the Vanguard basically inguardable unless the opponent has a PG. So she just gets really big. So she's really nice. We're also running 4 copies of Frontier Star Coral. She's probably one of the better strides in the deck. She's the better coral stride, but she is a semi-GB2 card. So her skill is auto, counterblast 1, flip anything face up. When she attacks, you can pay the cost. If you do, you soul charge 1. Choose up to the same number of rear guards as number of cards with coral in your soul. Bounce them to hand, and then if you have if you have 2 of her face up in your G zone, you can draw a card and call 2 rear guards, and she gets 5k for everything bounced. So you can potentially bounce full board, she'd get 25k, and as well as whatever power your heart is giving you, and then she'd get you some multi-attack. So she's basically Alk, but for coral. So she's really, really nice if you make it that far in the game. Generally, you're going to win on your first stride or lose. So we're also running 1 copy of Chocho Popular Favorite Tiwa. She's the brand new GR from the new set. So she has 2 skills. She has an act once per turn. Choose anything in your G zone, turn it face up, and then she gets a red tech skill. All of the units with Chocho and their card name in your front row get plus 5k for every open rearguard circle. So if you have no field, like, she'd be giant. And then she has an auto Vanguard circle once per turn, GB3. At the end of the battle that she attacked, choose 3 of your rearguards, put them to the bottom of the deck, and restand her with drive -2. So she's really, really good. And yeah, that's like all I have to say is just she's really, really good, because on her second attack she'll have at least 15k. So making her a really big beater, as well as she's a restander, so really nice. Then, because I'm poor and don't have Ange, we're running 1 copy of Celebrate Voice Loris. Basically, I'm running this because in the case of a control matchup where I don't have anything but the amount to stride and my top deck, in which you could just call it behind her and put her in Harmony. So she has 2 skills, which is Harmony and then an act. once per turn. Counterblast 1, flip up anything. Choose up to the same number of rear guards as the number of face-up cards in your cheese zone. Return them to your hand, and until end of turn, this unit gets... When this unit attacks a Vanguard, if all of your units are in harmony, choose up to 3 of your units, and until end of turn they get 5k and a crit. So essentially you'd bounce 1, because assuming you only have the thing behind her, and that would put her in harmony to where your column would get 5k and she would be swinging with a crit. So really just for emergencies. You're really never going to go into her, but like I said, just in case. And then we're running 1 copy of Final Festal, Festal Finale, Final Priscilla. She's the GB8, still one of the better GB8s that we got. So her skill is auto. After the battle, like at the end of the battle that she attacked, you could discard a card. If you do, bounce all of your rear guards, and then you can call up to 5 from hand to separate rear guards, and then all of the things you called get plus 5k. So multi-attack, as well as numbers late in the game. That's really, really strong. And then for last try, we were running 1 copy of Xerath Dragon of the Distant Sea Megiddo. I'm sorry, I don't have the Moegido Chan version, I just have the original one. I'm poor. I'm a broke college student, so probably don't know what he does. So it's the ultimate stride cost, so discard a copy of your Vanguard, and you have to be at GB3. Auto, counterboss 2, when he's placed, you can call a board from hand or drop zone. All of the called things get 5k, and a red text skill at the end of the battle that they attacked, you can swap positions with another rear guard. So you'd be getting at least 6 attacks off with him. So he lives up to the, like, I'm going all out this turn or I'm losing kind of thing that the Xerath Dragons were supposed to be. So he's still pretty nice. You rarely use him, but still nice to have the option. For G-Guards, we're running 1 Blessed Sparkle Sandy. She's the Flipper G-Guard. So she has the auto GB1, flip a G-Guardian face up, and then she gets plus 5k shield for every 2 cards in hand. And then if somehow that's not enough, you can counterblast 1 and she gets an additional 5k. So usually she's going to be a giant, like, wall. A giant impenetrable wall. So, really good. And then we're running 1 copy of Hand in Hand Leona. I basically just run her in case I need more cards in hand. Like if I just need to clear my field, she's there. So her skill is when she's placed, you can choose one of your rear guards, bounce it to hand, and then you may call a card from hand to Guardian Circle. And then if the thing you called to Guardian Circle was the same thing as you bounced to hand, she gets an additional 5k shield. So if you have like a crit on the field, you can bounce it and then call it to Vanguard, call it to Guardian Circle, and that would be a plus 15k shield. So she's still really nice. But yeah. And then we're running 2 copies of Luxury Wave Ellie. She's really good. She can get beefy shields as well. And yeah, she's the new one. So she's got 2 skills. The continuous, she gets plus 10k for each copy of herself face up, or each, as well as each Sentinel and drop. So if you've PG'd twice and you have one of her face up, then that would be a plus 30k shield. So really, really big shield. And then she has a GB2. When this card would be put face up in G zone, you can Soul Blast 1 and turn her face down. So just keep recycling her. She's really nice. Really good. And lastly, we're running 1 copy of Highest Society Citron. She's from the last Bermuda set. So her skill is Once she's placed on Guardian Circle, you can choose one grade 1 or greater card from your hand and call it to Rearguard Circle. If you do, she gets plus 10k shield. So if you just need a quick, just 10k shield, you can just drop a card on board, and then you could potentially just bounce it back to hand with Leona. So I mean, if you need that combo, you can just do that. So yeah, that's my deck list. I might make some changes to it in the future, but for now, I'm pretty happy with it. So, bye!